Good morning. This is Kent and Renee again.
We're going to speak about rebirth, which is reincarnation, and then we're going to go into defining death. And it's not going to be a sad experience.
Actually, the rebirth we're talking about is being rebirthed back into our spiritual state, which is our natural state. If you think about it that way.
About reincarnation.
And it fits into reincarnation.
It fits, okay. So, death and rebirth are somewhat associated, where death is actually celebrated in some cultures, and death is also a sad experience in some cultures. But death, on the other side of the veil, is a rebirth of knowledge.
So what we're doing is the experiences and the learnings that we have experienced in this life, once we leave, we're bringing back with us. And the spiritual realm considers that a rebirth. So we're giving birth to new understanding. So each time we do that, we are rebirthing new understanding that we are adding to the soul's trove of understanding.
Yeah, the understanding is how did that come about? The best way to put it is what I got from the teachers is upon our so-called death, we enter into you can call it a tunnel or a vortex or whatever, but we end up in a reflection area. And now, God does not judge us, our rights and wrongs. We judge ourselves. We analyze what we've learned, what we have done in that particular life. And we are our worst judge as far as judging, because we look at ourselves, what we accomplished and what we failed in. And when we begin to understand the whole scenario of that particular life, then we're ready to move on to the soul family. But sometimes it's a short reflection. Sometimes it's a very long reflection. It depends on where you were in this particular life before you passed.
And there is no time constraint put on it. So the object is to get to full understanding. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into that. Many people who have had near-death experiences talk about this tunnel and the light at the end of the tunnel. I too have experienced that, not through a near-death experience, but I was learning how to do yoga.
What it's about.
Yeah, so it was more of an out-of-body experience.
So what is the palakian field?
So when we leave this physical body and we're going toward this reflection area, and that's for people who are ready to really face themselves. They're ready to face their soul and the consequences of their decision making.
In other words, you can't take your baggage with you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of souls that are hanging out here on Earth for various reasons. One being that they haven't completed basic understanding to move forward, so they're mathematically out of whack, so to speak, and they can't progress. And another is they're not ready to face themselves.
Yeah, why do we have those that go on back to the soul family, and why do many stick around here and not move on?
Yeah, and so
that question's been asked to us by many people.
There's a lot of reasons, various reasons. Fear also.
Incomplete.
And most of the time their lessons are incomplete, especially for those who've left prematurely, early deaths, for whatever reason, that they haven't regained a level or gained a level of basic understanding to be mathematically aligned to the truth of that, and then they can't progress forward until they have completed enough understanding to move forward, and then they can go through this tunnel. So the tunnel is this narrow field of charged particles that passes through a larger field that surrounds the Earth, and this other field is called a palakian field. And so they've described this palakian field as something that is associated with the magnetosphere of a particular planet. Now, not all planets have this, only the ones that need to be pushed along in their understanding. So this palakian field interfaces with the magnetosphere of certain planets, of young cultures, and like ours, and it's pushing us forward in our level of understanding. It's prompting us, and it's kind of nudging us along to get us up to speed so that we can mirror more the level of understanding of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we get pushed into trying to gain a higher level of understanding of why we were even here. Now, when you come back, you don't remember. It's not given to you to remember a past life, the understanding of why you were there and what you learned, because you chose. When you come here, you choose your mother and your father. You choose your relatives, because from them you can learn an experience, a cause and effect, because you chose that experience. And you can also help those that are here, once you learn that experience, to move them forward on their path.
And so we're all interacting. We choose the experiences we want to experience. We have, if you want to use the word, contracts with other people in our soul group to play certain parts. So
what if you don't learn it?
So, yeah.
What if you say, oh, that's too difficult, I'm not going to learn this?
The whole purpose is the learning. So, and that's the whole purpose of creation, is expanding consciousness, intellectual consciousness. So, if you're not doing that, if you're resisting, there's lots of patience in the spiritual realm. You're given lots of opportunities to come back and to progress forward and come back but at some point you are resisting the purpose of creation, and there's consequences at some point for that. Even though we're given free will, the universe and all of creation has to maintain a level of efficiency in the and has to be aligned to universal laws and concepts established by the Creator. And so if you aren't progressing, then there are consequences that we will get to that in a minute.
Oh, we will. Okay. But in the meantime,
we're going to talk about the light. So the light at the end of the tunnel.
We're going to talk about the end. Oh, I was going to go there. My goodness. The reflection area. Oh, again, going back to the reflection area is your life replayed. You're looking at what you accomplished and what you failed in this particular life. How much did you understand, and how much did you say, I'm not going to understand this because it's too difficult? So you enter a period of very intense analysis. You analyze your life. Okay.
So they've told us this is a highly specialized holographic field that we're in here on this Earth plane, and there's much more technologically involved in it than what we currently understand with holograms. But it enables us to touch, taste, feel. It pulls in all of our senses, and the ability to feel pain and emotion, all of that is tied into it.
In our life, okay? What caused the event? Why did it happen?
And this is what we need to analyze when we're going back, the cause and effect. So the effect would be the result of, or the event of past decision making. The cause would be our learning involved in analyzing what led up to that event. And so there's lots of different things that we're learning.
If we're able to analyze that before we pass from this plane, we gain a higher level of understanding.
And we can enter the tunnel and move on to the light very quickly when we do that.
Yeah,
and then in the light area, that is the reflection area. So your life, this hologram that has been stored in some sort of memory, is replayed back to you. And you get to review your entire life, the major learning events of that life. And then you go into a period of intense study of that. That includes learning how math applies to these concepts. I know it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around, but there's some samples of that in the book, The Augmentation of Man, A Study in Renaissance, where there's a little bit of math brought in to see how it correlates with certain concepts. And that is also what we will do on the soul level. We're looking at concepts, we're looking at the mathematics of it, and then we will have a source entity come in and give us further instruction to help complete our understanding of the events of that lifetime before we can move on.
We have free will here now on this plane. But once you pass and you go into the light, reflection area, you don't have the free will whether you want to learn or not. And that free will no longer exists there, because then you have to analyze what life you've had here. But the free will, while you have the free will here, you have the ability to analyze cause and effect. Okay, but most people don't go down there. They don't want to know cause and effect because they're carrying too much baggage. So
there's the guilt
progress
associated.
at your own speed, whatever speed that may be. Some don't progress at all. Some progress quickly.
So I think what you're saying, as far as we lose free will, it's just a matter of we can't progress forward. We can't go and start a new.
Don't collect $200.
Can't collect $200 and start a new board progression, which would be a new lifetime. You can't do that until you have gone to the reflection area and you have gone through this intense period of study of all the events in your life that result in higher understanding. You can't go on and into planning a new life and a new play.
That's the purpose of creation.
Until you have completed that understanding. So, and it's all it's not under any time constraints. It's all when you get it done,
because
you get it
time.
done. That's right.
Outside of Earth, we make up our own time to get from point A to point B. We discussed that. So there's no time. You have to go at your own speed. And it's a continuous evolution of conscious understanding.
Right, which mirrors the purpose of creation.
Yeah. So
each physical life has cause and effect. And so what we want is we want to be able to feel the effect of the events as a result of our decision making, and then to reflect back on our decision making, what led up to the event. That's on a personal scale and regional, global.
In the sense that we're talking, explain positive entity and negative entity.
Okay, so a lot of people have, I think, some confusion in this area. And positive entity is always focused on the learning and the teaching and the expanding of their own neuronetical energy field around them. The expansion of that occurs with the further understanding that you gain. A negative entity is just the opposite of that. So one who is deceitful, who hides truthful information or deflects truthful information.
Any of those or all of those?
Right. Or they sometimes refer to it's negative entities will give you enough truthful information, but not the whole picture.
Quasi-truth, it's called.
And it's to kind of make you believe a certain thing, and you're kind of your interpretation, your perception would be left askew as a result of their withholding certain facts.
Yeah.
So just look at what's going on in our world today. That happens a lot in our physical world. Yeah, it happens in the spiritual realm too.
So life force, there's a vortex, and it's a central vortex with two vortices, one on each side, to keep the life force that goes through the vortex intact. Now, when the life force goes through this vortex and it stays intact, then it reaches the reflection area.
Reaches the other side.
Or just the other side.
You know, that soul goes through, passes through this tunnel, passes through the life force vortex, and makes it through to the other side as one single entity still.
But what if is a negative, when we're talking negative entity, where you do these quasi-truths, begin to enter the vortex, what happens?
So the vortex actually reads the light within. The light always is the understanding. And so it's kind of light. Yeah, it's measuring the brightness of the light, and it's measuring how much understanding we have gained from the beginning of that lifetime and what we've added on during the course of that lifetime, and the volume of that light that is within that we have that mirrors the level of understanding we have gained within that lifetime.
What I thought was interesting is that the Egyptians believed in the weighing of the soul.
Oh yeah.
So when I got that about the light, I'm going, wow, that's very similar to the weighing of the soul.
And so for somebody who is resisting learning and not progressing, there's an incredible amount of patience to allow that person to turn things around and to start progressing and start learning and moving forward. So they are given more lifetimes, but at a certain point, they're kind of given the last chance.
So you say eternal life, it basically is the ones who want to continue to learn and understand as much as they possibly can.
It's eternal life is given to those who want to continue as a reflection of the purpose of creation, to continue in their evolvement of intellectual higher consciousness. And so for those who continuously resist, eventually when they go through this life force vortex and it measures their light within, if it hasn't moved significantly, those sub-vortexes do not activate, and they do not keep that soul contained in its own separate entity, and it allows that energy of that soul to just dissipate out into the energy field, and it'll
be recycled. Everything is recycled.
Eventually recycled.
Matter.
It's not contained as its separate soul entity any longer, and because it defeats the purpose of creation. So that keeps creation efficient and follows the universal laws and concepts.
Okay. Yeah. So
hopefully we haven't confused you.
So with this information, now you can see why many cultures actually celebrate the death of one as a rebirth, of which they'll take this knowledge back with them. And so we are sad because that person is no longer around where we can enjoy their company or their friendship. If that person is mean and does not get along in society, we don't tend to miss them. We say, gosh, good riddance. But if that person is a kind person, and we tend to miss their kindness because there's not that much kindness in the world. People have to try harder. But anyhow, with that information, what?
I wanted to add one more thing on the end of this chapter, and that is that in order to really be able to learn and to access the neural net and to access these higher source entities, one precept to that, or one thing that we have to acknowledge, is the love of all that is, everything in creation, because creation is a network of sharing information. It's intellectual consciousness. We have to respect that and give honor to that, and that is in our love for all of that which exists.
Yeah, learn peace. Learn peace first. Peace within.
Yeah.
Okay.
So move
Once
away
you learn
from
peace
that inner
within,
turmoil.
and then you won't get on Highway 45 or Highway 10 or Highway 40, and somebody cuts you off, and you scream at them. Well, that's not peace within. You haven't learned it yet. It takes a lifetime. Anyhow, have a great week.
And we want to say we do have a blog on our website, verdience.com, and it goes into more detail. So we urge you from here, go to verdience.com, look at the blog, see how it correlates with this video. We're trying to get them on where we're doing them at the same time. And we do have a newsletter we put out. We're going to be combining both the video, the YouTube link with the blog. And if you want to receive those newsletters, send us a note, to our email. It's Kent, Kent 4838 at inreach, INREACH.com, and let us know what your email address is and that you want to receive the newsletters. We'll get you on the list. And then we also have the Facebook site, and we're posting both the video and the blog on the Facebook, as well as current events.
We're reaching out. Okay. Anyway, you have a great week.
Like us on Facebook.
Okay. All right.
Send it off to your friends.
Yeah. Pass it on, as they say.
Yeah.